President Donald Trump will hit his first 100 days in the White House on Tuesday, a key period of his second presidency defined by its breakneck pace and the chaotic rollout of an agenda designed to expand his authority. Laura Barrón-López has our report.
So this is a big one.
Since retaking the Oval Office in January, Donald Trump has tested the limits of presidential power.
We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
More than 140 executive orders signed, a record for the first 100 days, and tariffs on allies and adversaries alike, a growing deportation operation, and mass firings across the government. All at a pace that historian Mark Updegrove says has institutions struggling to keep up.
There's a muzzle velocity, this flooding the zone of activity that has come since he took the oath of office. There have been enormous gambles that he has taken, and we don't yet know what the ramifications of those gambles are.
Impulsive and often controversial, just 1 month in, President Trump shocked the world.
You don't have the cards right now.
When he berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in an explosive Oval Office showdown that forced allies to reckon with what could be the end of the transatlantic alliance.
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
And now the administration is threatening to walk away from the peace negotiations. On immigration, Trump moved quickly to shut down the border and many legal pathways to enter the U.S. Southern border crossings dropping to the lowest levels in decades. Carrying out early raids in major cities. Top immigration officials launched a PR blitz to highlight the deportations and pressure immigrants to self-deport.
If you are considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it.
College students were also targeted in the dragnet, as the administration revoked visas from hundreds of foreign students involved in pro-Palestinian campus protests and has detained a growing number of legal permanent residents. The targeting of undocumented and legal immigrants alike has set off a confrontation with the co-equal judicial branch. After invoking the 18th Century Alien Enemies Act, until now only used during times of war, the administration deported hundreds of Venezuelan migrants alleged to be gang members without due process.
These were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres.
A move that federal judges, including Republican-appointed ones, have described in rulings as shocking and a path of perfect lawlessness, one that courts cannot condone. In an extraordinary response, the Supreme Court halted all future deportations under the Alien Enemies Act until courts can hear more arguments. And they ordered the administration to, quote, facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was illegally deported to El Salvador, despite a court order expressly forbidding him to be sent there. The White House taunting on social media that Garcia is never coming back.
Donald Trump has shown that he has disregarded at certain points of his presidency constitutional and conventional norms. Will there be a continued defiance of court orders, and what will that mean to our Constitution? What will that mean to the future of America?
Do you have a pulse?
Acting with Trump's blessing, special government employee Elon Musk has exerted unprecedented influence inside the administration, while vowing to take a chainsaw to the federal government. He's promoted Teslas on the White House driveway.
It's 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2 seconds.
Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, claims to have cut $160 billion in spending since Trump took office, nowhere near the $1 trillion promised by September.
Some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes.
And many of DOGE's, quote, receipts have been riddled with billion-dollar errors, deletions, or falsehoods.
When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally.
At the direction of Musk and his allies across the government, nearly 280,000 federal workers have been fired or put on leave. Most foreign aid spending has been eliminated, including the dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID. and there have been major cuts at the Department of Education, the Environmental Protection Agency, and others like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
We have never seen the dismantling of government to this extent. These programs are baked into American life, and it's everything from the CDC to the FAA and to all these different things that we almost take for granted in our daily lives as Americans. And we've never seen an axe wielded to take apart government to this extent.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
And after promising to rein in inflation and lower the price of goods, President Trump unveiled sweeping tariffs on nearly all of the nations that trade with the U.S. before he backtracked, announcing a 90-day pause just hours before they were set to take effect.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Still, Trump left in place an across-the-board 10% tariff on most imported goods and 25% levies on foreign autos, steel, and aluminum. And he launched a bitter trade war with China, slapping 145% tariffs on most Chinese products imported to the U.S., prompting China to retaliate, all sparking chaos in the financial markets, and according to a majority of economists, raising the risk of recession.
We have not seen tariffs used as a weapon in the manner that Trump has used them to this point. While this might seem like a good short-term solution to get nations to the bargaining table to get better deals from America, the long-term downstream effects of this remain to be seen, and it's an enormous gamble for America and for the world economy.
They weaponize the vast powers of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies to try and thwart the will of the American people. Hello, everybody.
And despite railing against what he called the weaponization of government against him, many say President Trump has made good on his promise of retribution, attacking all perceived enemies, stripping security clearances from former officials in his first administration and other political opponents, including Republicans, threatening law firms that worked on legal cases against him, punishing independent news organizations he disagrees with, and targeting institutions like Harvard University by halting billions in public funding.
Are there historical parallels? Are there other presidents who attempted to go after their enemies in the same way that Trump is going after his?
Not to the same extent that we've seen from Donald Trump, no. We saw from Richard Nixon, attacks on his enemies. He had an enemy list, but they were not, that vengeance was not carried out to the same systematic degree that we have seen from the Trump administration.
President Trump has made clear he will move to enact his agenda with or without Congress. But the near-daily court setbacks continue as the judiciary questions the legality of some of his actions.
Donald Trump campaigned on the notion of making America great again. We've seen him tear down much of what has made America great to this point. What will he build in its place, and where will its greatness lie?
Thank you, everybody.
Whether the chaos of the president's first 100 days becomes a hallmark of his second term, Updegrove said, remains to be seen. For the PBS News Hour, I'm Laura Barrón-López.